A brand new Boeing 777X has carried a list price of over $400 million. But in today's market, a single spare engine, one pod sitting in a warehouse, can be worth more than an entire older jet still flying passengers somewhere else. The company that built that engine may have made almost nothing on the sale. And the airline flying it may not be paying for that engine the way you'd expect. It's paying for every hour it spins. This is the strangest economics in aviation, hiding inside the most extreme machine humans have ever bolted onto a wing. The engine is the part of an aircraft most people understand the least and pay for the most. We see the fuselage, the wings, the seats. The engines scream on takeoff and then vanish from our attention. But on a modern wide body, those two pods are the most valuable assets on the entire aircraft, and their value behaves in a way that breaks every rule you'd expect. A plane loses value the moment it leaves the factory, like a car. Its engines hold their value far longer, and in the right market, can even gain it. To understand how that's possible, you have to look at two things happening at once. An engineering problem so hard, it costs as much as a small building to solve. And a business model deliberately built backwards. Start with the engineering. Take the GE90, the engine under Boeing's 777-300ER, 777-200LR, and 777 Freighter. It produces up to 115,000 pounds of thrust, more than any commercial engine ever certified. Its fan is over 3 meters across, almost the width of a narrow-body cabin. To make that thrust, the hottest section of the engine burns gas at well over 1,000 degrees Celsius, and in the most extreme parts, around 1,400 degrees Celsius or more. Here's the problem. The turbine blades, sitting in that fire, would not survive it on their own. The gas is hotter than the metal could safely endure. They only hold together because cool air is pumped through tiny channels inside each blade, and a ceramic coating shields the surface. You're running an oven hotter than the point that would warp the tray inside it, and keeping the tray solid by blowing air through it. And the blades themselves are extraordinary. Many are grown from a single crystal of metal, one continuous crystal, with no internal grain boundaries for the heat and stress to pull apart. Making just one is slow, exacting work. Multiply that across the hundreds of blades in a single engine, and you start to see where the cost comes from. This is why this one part costs what it costs, and it costs a lot. A GE90 lists at roughly $30 million. Comparable wide-body engines sit in the same tens of millions range, though public order values usually bundle in spares and decades of servicing. At list price levels, the two engines on a wide body can represent tens of millions of dollars before you've paid for the wings, the cabin, the avionics, or the landing gear. But here's the first twist. The companies that make these engines may make little profit when they sell one, and analysts have long suspected some are sold at a loss. Why build the most advanced machine on the aircraft and then hand it over for almost no margin? Because the engine sale isn't the business, it's the entry ticket to a much bigger one. And the real money doesn't arrive for another 20 years, which is where this gets financially strange. To see why, you have to understand that a jet engine is never really finished. It's an asset that has to be maintained for its entire life, and that life is long. Rolls-Royce's Trent family alone now has close to 6,000 engines in service, and together they've logged more than 200 million flying hours. Every one of those hours wears down parts living inside that fire. The most valuable section, the turbine and combustor, at the engine's hot core, is also the part that degrades fastest. So an engine isn't sold once. It's rebuilt again and again across 2 or 3 decades, each overhaul replacing precision parts machined from exotic alloys. The thing that makes the engine expensive to build is exactly the thing that makes it expensive to keep alive. This is where the backwards business model pays off. Think of it like razors and blades. The razor, the engine, is sold cheap, sometimes at a loss. The blades, the parts, and the servicing are where the profit lives for 30 years. Analysts at Credit Suisse once estimated that some engine makers earn around 7 times as much revenue from servicing and spares as from selling the engines themselves. The numbers back it up. GE Aerospace reported $45.9 billion in revenue in 2025 and $10 billion in profit. In its commercial engine business, more than 70% of revenue comes not from selling engines, but from parts and service. But selling the razor cheap creates a problem. If the engine itself earns little, what stops someone else from making the cheap blades? Independent repair shops do exactly that. Certified replacement parts can often be found for around a third of what the original manufacturer charges. So the engine makers fought back, not with better parts, but with contracts. Deals like Rolls-Royce's Total Care bundle the engine and its entire lifetime of maintenance into a single package charged by the hour, and that makes it far harder for an outsider to slip in and sell the blades. The engineering creates the value. The contract makes sure the manufacturer keeps it. And that changes how airlines pay for engines, which is where it stops sounding like business and starts sounding absurd. Because increasingly, airlines are not just buying metal. Under Total Care, an airline pays a fixed fee for every hour the engine flies, and the manufacturer takes on the job of keeping it running for life. There is a strange elegance to it. The maker only earns while the engine is actually flying. So for the first time, it is in the manufacturer's interest to keep your engine on the wing rather than in the shop. You are not just buying an engine, you are buying availability, thrust by the hour. The most valuable object on the aircraft is something airlines increasingly treat as a service, not a one-off purchase. But here's the part almost nobody outside the industry knows. Because engines hold their value while airframes lose theirs, something extraordinary is now happening. There's an old rule of thumb in aviation. When a plane is new, about 20% of its value sits in the engines and 80% in everything else. By the end of its life, that ratio flips. Most of the value ends up in the engines. The metal tube depreciates. The engines barely do. And right now, the timing has made it worse. Engine makers are delivering far fewer engines than airlines need, with wait stretching years. Spare engines have become scarce, and scarcity sent their value through the roof. According to one major aircraft lessor, 2 new engines can now account for as much as 80% of a new aircraft's value. On some narrow-bodies, appraisers have projected the engines reaching close to 90% of the aircraft's value within about a decade. So investors did the math. Why fly the plane when the engines alone are worth more? An upgraded Pratt & Whitney geared turbofan can be worth around $20 million in lease for over $200,000 a month. 2 of them rent for nearly as much as an entire aircraft. So financiers started buying young jets, some almost new, and tearing them apart. More than a dozen recently built Airbus A320 family jets, many of them A321neos, have already been dismantled. Not because they were worn out, because the engines inside them were worth more than the plane holding them up. So the real story of a jet engine isn't just that it's expensive, it's that it's the one part of an aircraft engineered to be too valuable to retire, wrapped inside a machine that ages and depreciates around it. The fuselage is the disposable part, the engine is the asset. We think of a plane as one object with engines attached. The industry increasingly sees it the other way around. 2 highly valuable engines with an aircraft built around them to keep them earning. So next time you watch a wide body climb out of an airport, remember, the most financially important part leaving the runway may not be the cabin, the wings, or the fuselage. It may be the 2 machines bolted under the wing.